Today's episode of Inside Gaming Daily is brought to you by Zombieland Double Tap. You can get your tickets at the link in the description. Hey everyone, welcome to Reset. Hey everyone, welcome back to Inside Gaming for Friday.
Yes! God!
Yes! That was a scary one.
Chaos Week is coming to an appropriate conclusion. So, Ghost Recon Breakpoint released earlier this month as the 11th installment in the venerable series, 11 Ghost Recons. You'd think we'd find the ghost by now.
It's one of those franchises that's super predictable with a dedicated military shooter fan base. It's gonna be a reliable source of income for publisher Ubisoft, right?
Ooh, not so much. Yeah, the game, Breakpoint specifically, was a critical bomb, and the head of Ubisoft admitted to investors that the game has been a disaster. On the internet, people typically use a lot of big words. Disaster is actually appropriate here because Breakpoint sucked ass.
Yeah.
to put it in clinical terms.
In a conference call, CEO Yves Guillemot told I was gonna just say his name normally, but then I was like, no. Told investors that while the game's quality appeared on track based on E3, Gamescom, previews, and our latest internal playtests, critical reception and sales during the game's first weeks were very disappointing.
He also said the game has been strongly rejected by a significant portion of the community.
Because the game is lukewarm, I will spit it out.
So yeah, that's not good, right, Brian?
No, at all. It's a bomb that comes at the exact wrong time for Ubisoft. Not that any publisher ever wants a bomb, but this one's particularly bad because Ghost Recon Breakpoint was supposed to get Ubisoft through a very lean fiscal year, the one that they're currently in, and it's gonna get a lot leaner now.
A lot of publishers like to bank up projects for next-gen consoles and stuff like that. So we're in that weird lull between big releases for this gen and next gen. I mean, it doesn't feel like it because this fall and next spring is particularly stacked, but for a lot of publishers, there's just not a lot going on. So Breakpoint came out 2.5 years after Ghost Recon Wildlands, and it introduced a lot of new elements to the franchise.
Yeah, it was set on a fictional island for one, and it also added some survival and loot grinding elements that a lot of people just didn't like.
Boy, the Ubisoft mini map of icons everywhere is just pushed a little too far.
So I have to climb one more damn tower.
Yeah, well, just lay on the ground and rub dirt all over yourself. Is that enough for a video game? No. See, it's one of those catch-22s that developers find themselves in when they're making a new installment of a franchise. How do you introduce new elements and mechanics while keeping the series true to its roots? Which is basically just walking around like this.
It's a tightrope to walk in the best of times, but Ghost Recon Breakpoint didn't even come close.
Yeah, reviewers pretty much hated it. PS4 got a 56 on Metacritic, the PC version did a few points better, and the Xbox One version got a 63.
Is that a D or an F?
That's a hard F, I think.
That's an F.
Those are really bad scores for a AAA game.
Below 68, right?
And just no one cared. It came and went. IGN said it had a lack of variety and was devoid of personality. John Bernthal couldn't even drag it out. GameSpot also said it was a messy, confused game and a ghost of the series' former self.
Which is ridiculous, because breakpoint is the coolest word.
It's a really cool word.
Break, cool, point, it's pretty cool.
Breakpoint!
Destructoid reviewer said that as someone that honestly tried to give this a shot, well, I'm sorry to say that Breakpoint is a failure.
Guillemot was pretty honest about the game and actually managed to honestly capture most of the problems, right, Brian?
Yeah, he got pretty candid. He said that Ghost Recon Breakpoint did not come in with enough differentiation factors which prevented the game's intrinsic qualities from standing out. He also said that the gameplay innovations needed to be perfectly implemented if they were going to win over players, but he admitted that that didn't happen.
Well said, Yves. Guillemot went on to say that while the change of formula has been very well received by some players with an average daily playtime per player of over 3 hours, it also has been strongly rejected by a significant portion of the community.
Yeah, it didn't really help that it also released the same year as another Tom Clancy game, The Division 2. Although, I mean, what does Tom Clancy even mean anymore? Guillemot said that Ubisoft probably didn't wait long enough between Ghost Recon sequels and said, "We feel it's due to the fact that people have been able to play those games for a long time and experiencing that gameplay for a long time. We need to wait longer for something that is more differentiated."
Put that on every Ubisoft games box.
I mean, he's using big words, but he's dead on.
Yeah.
They make these games to last a long time, and if you release them too close together, it's just more grizzled military men crawling around in the mud and shooting each other with silenced rifles.
Yeah, I feel like sports can get away with that because there's different rosters each year, but for these kind of games, you can't do it every year.
And also, sports just hit a certain market that they got other stuff going on in their lives. They're not just playing one video game all the time. As a result, he said they're implementing significant changes to our production process to fix the game.
Making matters worse for this year's bottom line, Ubisoft said they'll also push back the releases of Gods and Monsters, Rainbow Six Quarantine, and Watch Dogs Legion until 2020, 2021.
Yeah, fiscal years kind of wrap over.
If I have to wait longer than 2021 to play as an old British grandma though,
It's gonna be rough.
there'll be hell to pay.
UB? You Be Dead. We have Ubi and Weeby. Warner Brothers, Interactive Entertainment.
The whole world's a conspiracy.
Maybe.
You just have to learn to read between the lines, put on your special glasses, and see the world as it really is.
Which, the three of you out there that are getting massively triggered by how dirty the laptop is, you're right. I'm not cleaning it on purpose to with you, just so you know.
It's Chaos Week.
It's Chaos Week, baby.
I will never bathe.
So all of those games that were delayed until 2020, typical excuse. You just said they needed more development time. Guillemot said that while each of these games already has a strong identity and high potential, we want our teams to have more development time to ensure their respective innovations are perfectly implemented so as to deliver optimal experiences for players.
Yeah, that's CEO talk for it. They're not ready yet.
I gotta admit, this is really refreshingly candid from a games executive to basically say this game wasn't good enough and we have to make sure that every game we put out captures people's interest, is unique enough to carve out its own space in the game's area, and then also just hits a certain bar of quality and make people want to buy it. Even though Breakpoint kinda sucked, I think he deserves some credit for just, calling a spade a spade.
Bravo, Monsieur Guillemot.
So on top of that, Ubisoft's long-planned multiplayer pirate game Skull and Bones has already been delayed until the 20 to 21 fiscal year.
Those delays and the fact that there was no new Assassin's Creed game this year, thank God, made Ghost Recon Breakpoint all the more important for Ubisoft's bottom line in 2019.
Ubisoft's other releases this year were Trials Rising, Far Cry New Dawn, and a PC city building game called Anno 1800, which actually apparently sold really well, The Division 2, and of course a Just Dance game because we're still in the reality where Just Dance still makes money.
Hey, they have the best displays at E3 every year.
They really do.
They're all angry, that last appointment was bad, whatever, and then there's like
a games journalist.
carrot, and you're like,
Oh, look at that.
If you don't like a dancing panda, you're just an ass.
As a result of all of this, Ubisoft isn't really gonna have a great fiscal year.
Yeah, what's that looking like, Brian?
Guillemot said that the delays will have a very significant impact on their financial results for the year, and they had to cut their profit estimates by a lot. So profit estimates, that's when they tell investors this is how much we're expecting to pull in, so nobody gets surprised. But the cuts that they've had to make for their guidance are really, really big.
Previously, they'd estimated that profits for the current fiscal year would be about 480 million euro, which is more than 531 million in American money.
Real money.
Yeah, real freedom dollars.
Money doesn't count unless it's green.
Now they're saying their operating income will be between 20 to 50 million euro. That translates to a range of 22 million to 55 million. Even if they hit the upper end of that range, that's a drop of nearly 90%, 90, which is massive. That is a lot of money they're not making right now, just because John Bernthal couldn't carry that load.
I feel like Ghost Recon Breakpoint should have starred Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves. Then it would have made a lot of money, no matter how bad it was.
Wow.
Really excited about
Connor's really excited about that.
It was even worse for Ubisoft's net bookings, which is the net amount of all the products and services sold. Ubisoft initially estimated that it would do 2.4 billion in net bookings for the fiscal year. That's now down to 1.5 billion. That is chump change.
That's bad, yeah. I can't even, I lose that behind the couch every morning. So as you might imagine, investors didn't like any of this. Ubisoft's stock dropped by more than 20% in trading this morning. That's its lowest level since April of 2017.
Going forward, Ubisoft says it's going to put out 5 AAA games during the 2020-2021 fiscal year.
It's too much.
Are you ready for this?
Hold on, let me stretch.
Pull up, work out those hammies. Watch Dogs Legion, Gods and Monsters, Rainbow Six Quarantine, and 2 more from its, quote, biggest franchises, which could mean new Far Cry and new Assassin's Creed games.
Just Dance.
Yeah, or
It's gonna be a Just Dance. But that's still in the future. For now, it looks like Ubisoft is going to have to limp through the rest of the fiscal year and pull in a lot less money than investors were expecting. So they're taking their paddling like a man, so that's nice. So I appreciate that, I really do.
Paddling like a freshman. Guillemot was also asked if he's worried about players beginning to rebel against more aggressive monetization in games.
Yeah, this is an interesting exchange. So investors typically at the end of an investor call can get up and ask questions. He responded to this particular investor by saying they're not gonna go pay to win in Ghost Recon, saying our philosophy is for the player to play the full game 100% without having to spend money. We have no pay to win elements in our games, and what we can say is that this is the philosophy we have for all our games. But it has to be linked to more events, more content for players to play longer.
Quebecois continue being the honorable people of the North.
That's an admirable stance, for real. It's not that Ubisoft doesn't have plenty of microtransactions and live service elements in their games, because they do, but at least they seem to be drawing the line somewhere.
Yeah, part of me feels like he was like, oh shit, I'm so glad he asked this because now I can score some points. Like CD Projekt Red really likes to bash that. You know, it's still nice to hear. It is true that during the Ghost Recon Breakpoint early access, some players found so-called time savers for sale that let them get experience boosts and weapon upgrades for cash, but Ubisoft took those out later and said that had been a mistake. Which is weird. I don't think it's a mistake to make something and put it in a game. You don't whoopsie and then suddenly a new thing appears in a video game.
It's a mistake that you got mad about it.
You can still buy weapon blueprints and other game-affecting items with real money, so if you want a real money shortcut, it is there.
Yeah, I think a lot of publishers are trying to figure out exactly where that line is. Kind of like Brian said, they're experimenting, and when they whoopsie, whoa, we didn't mean that. Sometimes putting out a game and trying to cram it with content doesn't work, because you don't know what that looks like before you put it out. It would be easy for Ubisoft at this point to lean harder on microtransactions, pulling EA basically, but they're not. They're willing to lose all that money. Gotta give it up for them, I guess. Here's the rough part. If in 6 months, Ubisoft has layoffs because of this, I don't know that necessarily people are gonna be applauding, especially those that lose their jobs. You know, there's two sides to every story. We can sit here and say, good, Ubisoft, you're doing the right thing, but then if people lose their jobs because they're not throwing out microtransactions,
Humans are a fickle species, aren't we?
yes, we are. I'm gonna conclude Chaos Week by leaving that little moral dilemma right on your doorstep. Today's episode of Inside Gaming Daily is brought to you by Zombieland Double Tap, because unlike Ubisoft, Zombieland is actually earning money. Yeah, it's the #1 comedy in America right now. The movie is the perfect Halloween event you won't want to miss. That's right, it's a good date night, so go check out Zombieland Double Tap in theaters now. You know, we read an ad for yesterday. I'll give you some new stuff today. There are new characters in the movie, including Rosario Dawson, Zoe Deutsch, and Luke Wilson. When's the last time you saw Luke Wilson doing anything? But now he's getting eaten by zombies, so that's got to be exciting. We got new types of zombies for our heroes to overcome, and new vehicles for them to roam the wasteland. It kind of sounds like a video game a little bit, the way they're describing it. Again, their 4 fan favorite characters are back, including Tallahassee, Columbus, Wichita, and Little Rock. So it's the perfect Halloween event you won't want to miss again. Said it again. It's so nice to said it twice. Take your lady, see some zombies running around, it's a good time. You can get your tickets at the link in the description. That's bit.ly/ZombielandTix, bit.ly/ZombielandTix. Thank you, Zombieland, for sponsoring Inside Gaming, and thank you for consuming delightful movies. Ubisoft's long-planned multiplayer pirate game Skull and Bones. No, sorry. I sucked in some air and a lot of other things came with it.
That crew called?
Do they have a name?
They do. I forget the name of it. I've watched all seasons of the show and I don't know. Either way, we've got a new one about the next Watch Dogs game, including its name, a really interesting new mechanic. Oh wait, hold on. I'll go back. Either way, we've got a new one about the new Watch Dogs game.
F Society.
F Society.